Hello everyone and welcome to this interesting video on IPL data analysis by Simplilearn. Indian Premier League, that is IPL, is one of the most popular and exciting events in world cricket. IPL 2022 will begin on 26th of March, so it's the best time for us and our viewers to learn about how to perform exploratory data analysis using the recently held IPL auction dataset. So in this video, all the results and insights that you will see are totally based on the data we have collected from Kaggle. We will leave a link to the dataset in the description of the video. You can go ahead and download it. For this demo, we'll be using Python and Jupyter Notebook to answer specific questions. So let's get started. We'll move over to our Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so I'm on my Jupyter Notebook and this is the file that we are going to use. So here you can see I have some of the cells already filled in. So this will save us some time and we can explore this data set in depth. So this is the file that I'll be using, or the IPython notebook. Cool. So first let's go ahead and import all the crucial libraries that will be needed for our analysis. So here you can see I am importing the pandas library, the numpy library. These are for data manipulation and numerical computation. Then we have seaborn and matplotlib for data visualization. Then I have imported this warnings module so that we do not get any warnings while running the code. Cool. So let me just hit Shift Enter to run the first cell. So here we will import all the libraries. Okay, it's done. Now the next step is I'm going to create a data frame in the name of IPL, and here I'm importing the dataset using the read_csv function, which is part of the pandas library. So PD here has been imported as pandas. I'm giving the dataset location followed by the name of the dataset. So here the name is IPL_2022_dataset.csv is the extension of the file. So let me go ahead and run this as well. Alright, so now we have successfully imported or loaded our dataset. Now the next step, let's go ahead and explore our dataset. So I'll use the head function for this, IPL.head. Okay, so here you can see the different columns. We have an unnamed column which is actually unnecessary for our analysis, so we'll see how to drop this column. Apart from that, we have the name of the players, the base price at which the player was sold, or whether the player was a draft pick. So here Rashid Khan from Afghanistan, Hardik Pandya, then we have Subman Gill. These are all draft pick, and then we have the price at which the players were listed in the IPL auction. Then we have the type of player, whether the player is a bowler, an all-rounder, a batsman, or a wicket-keeper. Then we have the cost in rupees. This is in crores. So basically this column tells us the price at which the player was sold in the auction. Then we have the price or the cost in dollars. After that we have 2021 squad. Basically this means in last year's IPL, where was the player? So here you can see Rashid Khan was playing for SRH, the Sunrisers Hyderabad, in 2021. But this year in 2022, he'll be playing for Gujarat Titans. Similarly, Hardik Pandya was playing for Mumbai Indians for past few seasons, including 2021. But this season is going to play for Gujarat Titans. So on and so forth. Now, let's see the total number of players that are present in the dataset and the total columns that are there. For this, I'm going to use the shape attribute. So I'll write IPL.shape. You can see here there are total 633 players that were part of the auction, and this includes the players who were draft pick also. And there are total 8 columns in my data frame IPL. Next, let's use the info function to check the columns, the data types, and the total non-null objects. So I'll say IPL.info, which is a function, so I have to use brackets. There you go. So here you can see it says total 633 entries from 0 to 632. Data columns, we have total 8 columns, and then these are the different column names, and here you can see the total non-null objects present in the column, and here you can see the data types, and at the bottom you can see the memory usage as well. Cool. Now the dot columns attribute will return the name of the columns in the dataset. So if I say IPL.columns and run it, it will give me all the different column names that are present in the data frame. Now, as I said, the first column, which is unnamed :0, is actually unnecessary. So we are going to drop it. For that, we are going to use the dot drop function, and then I have passed in my column name followed by the axis, on which axis is it there, and then I say in place equal to true, which means it will replace and permanently remove the unnamed column from the data frame. So let's run it, and now we'll again check the head of the data frame. You can see before we had the unnamed column, which was the first column in the data frame, and now we have successfully removed it. So player becomes the first column in the data frame. Alright, now moving ahead, let's see the total number of null values that are present in each column of the dataset. So I'll say IPL dot, I'm going to use the isNull function followed by the sum function. If I run this, you can see here the player column doesn't have any null values. Similarly, base price and type column also don't have any null values, but you can see cost in rupees and cost in dollars have nearly 396 missing or null values. The reason being those players were not picked in the IPL auction, and hence there was no price associated. And then you can see there were a few players who were not part of the IPL squad in 2021, so those are being reflected as null as well. Now we'll check the rows that have cost in dollar as null or NaN. So here I have used IPL, and after that I'm passing in the column name, which is cost in dollars, and then I've used the isNull function. If I run this, you can notice the cost in dollars column, all these values are NaN or null, and even the same rows have NaN for cost in rupees as well. Cool. Now the next task is to fill these null values or NaN values with zeros. So for that I'm going to use the fill NA function, and here I have passed in 0. So all the null values in the dataset will be replaced with 0 for cost in rupees column and cost in dollars column. Let me just run it. Alright. Okay. Now we will see the players who were unsold in the 2021 auction, which means we will check the rows that have null values for the 2021 squad column. So what I'll do is I'll say IPL, within square brackets I'll say IPL, and then I'll pass in my column name, which is 2021 squad, and then after this I'll say dot isNull. So this cell will give us the unsold players in the 2021 auction. If I run this, you see here you mark the 2021 squad column, all these players were unsold or did not participate, so hence it has NaN values. Alright, now what we are going to do is we will replace all the null values that are present in the 2021 squad column with not participated. Like how we did in the previous example, we replaced all the null values with 0. Here we'll replace with a text value called not participated. So I'll say IPL, I'll pass in my column name, which is 2021 squad, equal to, I'll say IPL 2021 squad dot fill any, which is the function, and here I'll pass in a text or a string saying not participated. Alright, let's run it. Before that, let me just scroll it down. Now I'll run it. Cool. Now that we have treated the null value successfully, let's verify it again. So I'll just say IPL dot is null, and then I'm going to use the sum function. If I run this, okay, this is also a function. Cool. Now if you see, we have successfully removed all the null values and replaced with either zeros or not participated, and hence now you can see none of the columns in the IPL data frame have null value, so it shows 0. Great. Now moving ahead, now we are going to add another column called status, which will hold two values, sold and unsold. But before that, we are going to slice our data frame. So here I am looking for all the rows where cost in rupees is greater than 0, and those should be unique, and I'm storing the value in a variable called teams. So here you can see we have the different teams where the cost in rupees is greater than 0. Now I'm going to create another column called status. So I have written IPL within square brackets. I'm passing in the column name, which is status, and that will be equal to the team replaced by sold value. Let me just run it and show you the result. There you go. So here you can see we have added a new column called status, and it has values sold and unsold. If I just say IPL, at the bottom you can see the unsold values as well. Cool. Now in the next cell, we are going to check for duplicated players. So there are duplicate rows in the data frame, but here the names of the players are same, but in reality the players are different. So it is quite understood that different players can have the same name. So to get those names, I am using the duplicated function, and I'll say keep equal to false, which means I don't want to keep those players. Now let's run it. There you go. So here you can see Lalit Yadav, we have two entries. So Lalit Yadav here is an all-rounder whose base price was 20 lakh for 2022 IPL, and last year he was playing for the Delhi Capitals, and this year also he is sold to Delhi Capitals. Next we have Lalit Yadav, who happens to be a bowler. So this is again different Lalit Yadav. So last year he was unsold, and even this year he remains unsold. Similarly, we have Amit Mishra, who earlier used to play with the Delhi Capitals, but this time he remains unsold, so on and so forth. So you can see two entries for Subham Singh as well and Shivam Mishra. Alright. Now let's answer a very basic question. We're going to find out how many players have participated in the 2022 IPL auction. For that, we have already seen the total number of rows that were present, but again I'm going to use the shape function, and within square brackets I'm going to say 0, which means it will give me the total number of rows, and you can see 633 players were part of the auction. This is as per our data that we have collected from Kaggle. Up next, we are going to find how many types of players have participated. So I'm going to say types equal to, say, IPL. I'll use the column name, which is type, and I'm going to find the count of each type of players that are present in the data frame. I'm going to use the values underscore counts function, and then I'll say types dot reset underscore index. If I run it, okay, there is an error here. Let me debug the error. Okay, so this should be value underscore counts and the variable name is types and not type. So let's run it. You can see here we have the different types of players. So all-rounders, there are total 242 all-rounders who are part of the auction. Then we have 215 bowlers, 112 batsmen and 64 wicket keepers. Now using the above table that we just created, I'm going to plot my first pie chart. So for that I'm going to use the matplotlib pie function. So plt.pie, I'm using types.values since I want only the values from this table, and then I'm saying labels equal to types.index. I've used a label distance of 1.2 to maintain some space, and then this is my format in which I want to print or show or display the percentage of distribution. I'm going to use shadow, so it says shadow equal to true, which is another parameter or an argument, and then I'm going to start my angle at 60 degrees, and here I have used a title called roll of players participated that will have a font size of 15, and finally I'm saying plt.plot. So let me just run it. There you go. So here we have a nice pie chart or a pie plot. So you can see the different pies here. We have all-rounder, wicketkeeper, batter and bowler. So majorly there are all-rounders in the auction followed by bowlers. Then we have 17.69% batters and 10.11% wicketkeepers, which is the lowest. Cool. Now we are going to create another bar plot or a bar graph that will tell us how many players were sold and unsold. So for this I'm going to use a count plot. So we'll create two bars, one for sold and the other one for unsold, and each of the bars will have different colors. One will have orange, the other one will have pink, and I'm using labels. So to label the x-axis and y-axis, I have sold or unsold. Y label will have number of players. The title of my bar graph would be sold versus unsold. I've given a font size of 15 and I'm saying plt.plot. Now the function that you see here at the bottom will display the data labels for each of the bars. Let me just run it and show you the result. There you go. So I have used a figure size of 10,5. Alright, now you can see we have a really good bar plot which says there were total 237 players sold and 396 players were unsold as per the data we have. Cool. Now you can also print the total sold and unsold values. Let me show you how to do it. I'll say IPL dot, we can use the group by function, and I want to group it by status column, and the value that I want to measure is the players count. So I'll say players, rather player, and then I'm going to use the count function. If I run this, you can see here I've successfully grouped the unsold and sold players. The values are matching with the bar plot that we just created. So sold were 237 players and unsold are 396. Cool. Now we are going to see the total number of players bought by each team. Again, this is going to be a count plot, so basically a bar plot. So here the condition I'm passing is in the teams column the value shouldn't be unsold. So players bought means the value should be sold. So here I'm using this condition and the rest of the things remains the same. One improvement I have done here is I'm using x-tex rotation equal to 70 degrees. This basically means the x labels would be tilted by 70 degrees. Now let's see the bar plot. There you go. So here you can see I have the title players bought by each team. On the y-axis we have the number of players, and on the x-axis you can see the values have been tilted by 70 degrees. Let me just zoom in so that you can see it better. And this is the bar plot. So the maximum a team can purchase is 25 players. Some of the teams have also purchased 24, 22 and 23 players. Let me just show you. So Gujarat Titans have totally purchased 22 players. Then Delhi Capitals have total 24 players in their squad. Again, Lucknow Super Giants have 22 players. If I scroll and see again, Bangalore Royal Challengers or RCB, the Royal Challengers Bangalore have 22 players in the team, and Rajasthan Royals and Sunrisers Hyderabad have 24 and 23 players respectively in their teams. Alright, now we will create 3 more columns called retention, base price and base price unit. For that, first of all, I am creating a new column called retention, which is equal to IPL base price. Let me just run it, and then I'm going to replace these values that are present in the list: 2 crore, 40 lakh, 20 lakh, 1 crore, 30 lakh, 1.5 crore with from auction, and I'm saying in place equal to true. Let me just run it. Then we are going to treat the base price. So here in the base price column, I'm going to replace draft pick value as 0. So let's run that as well. And now I'm going to split the base price value into two separate values called base price unit and base price. So basically I'm splitting on the space that I have. Let me show you how it is going to split. So this is, let's say, our base price column. What I did was I replaced the draft pick values to 0, and then the rest of the values will be split into two columns called base price unit. So basically it will have the unit of the base price, let's say crores or lakhs, and the base underscore price column will have the value, which is 2, here 40, 20, 20, so on and so forth. Let me just scroll down and run that particular cell. Now to create these two columns, the base price unit column and the base underscore price column, I have used the lambda function and I'm splitting based on the space. Let's just run it. Now I have replaced retained with 0, and let me show you the final data frame that I have. So here you can see we have replaced the draft pick values in the base price column to 0, and on the right side you can see the 3 different columns that I wanted to create. So one is called retention. So zeros refer to draft pick. Any other value will say the player was picked from the auction. Then you have the base price unit. So here you can see crores, lakhs, and the value base price is 2, 40, so on and so forth. Cool.
Choose from over 300 in-demand skills and get access to 1,000 plus hours of video content for free. Visit SkillUp by Simplilearn. Click on the link in the description to know more.
Now let's check how many players were retained and bought from the auction by each of the teams. So I'll say IPL, let me just scroll down, dot, I'm going to use the group by function. Then I'll say team, comma, retention. Then I'm going to use the value as retention because I want to find the count of retained players, and then I'll say colon -1. Let me run it. You can see here the different team names because I have grouped by team and then retention. So I have Chennai Super Kings. From the auction they had picked 21 players and they had retained 4 players. Coming to Delhi Capitals in the 2022 IPL auction, they picked total 20 players and they have retained 4. Similarly, if I scroll down, let me talk about, let's say, Punjab Kings. They have picked 23 players from the auction and retained 2 players from the team last year. Talking about RCB or Royal Challengers Bangalore, they have picked 19 players from the auction and they have retained 3 players. Alright. Now in the next cell of code, we are going to display the players in each team based on the different types of players. So let me just run it and show you the result. So here I am using the same condition. The value shouldn't be equal to unsold, and I'm going to use another parameter called hue for the different colors. So here I have used hue as type because I want to show the players in each team based on the different types. Again, I have given my title to the bar plot, and then I have the X label, the Y label, and my rotation is 50 degrees now. If I scroll down, you can see the different types of players. Here is the legend. So blue is for bowler, orange or yellow is for all-rounder, green is for batter, and red, which also looks like maroon, is for wicket keepers. And on the x-axis you can see the different team names. Alright, now let's answer another couple of questions. So here I have, what is the highest amount spent on a single player by each team? So to solve this question, I'll say my data frame name, that is IPL. Then I'm going to say retention equal to, this should be from auction because we want to see the highest amount spent and not from the retained players. Then I'm going to group by, I'll say team, and then I'll say cost in, let me just copy it from here, cost in rupees, that is in crores, and I'll say max colon -1 dot sort underscore values, I'll say ascending equal to false, which means I want the sorted result in descending order. Okay, let me just bring this to the left side and we'll run it. There seems to be some error. Let me check the error. It says there's a spelling mistake. This should be team. Let me run it again. There you go. So you can see Mumbai Indians have spent 15.25 crores for one of the players, and this player happens to be Ishan Kishan. Then Chennai Super Kings have spent the highest amount for a player who happens to be a bowler. The name is Deepak Chahar. They have bought him for 14 crores. Kolkata Knight Riders bought Shreyas Iyer for 12.25 crores, and so on and so forth. So these are the highest amounts spent on a single player by each of the teams. Let me scroll down. Now we are going to see the player retained at maximum value or maximum price. Now if you follow IPL, the maximum price at which a player was retained happens to be Ravindra Jadeja. So let's see at what price was he retained. I'll say retention equal to I'll say retained, then I'll say sort underscore values by equal to, I'll use the same column, cost in rupees, that's in crores. I'll say ascending equal to false dot head, and I want to find the top player. Again, there's some error. Let's see where is the error. Says ascending equal to false dot head. Okay, this should be sort underscore values. Within bracket I should say by. I think this should be fine now. Let's run it. There you go. So you can see here our result is player name Ravindra Jadeja, who was retained for 16 crores by Chennai Super Kings. Cool. Now the next cell of code will display or print the top 5 bowlers who have been picked in this year's IPL based on their cost in INR. Let me just run it and show you the result. You can see here Deepak Chahar went for 14 crores. Then we have Shardul Thakur, who was bought by Delhi Capitals. Earlier he was part of CSK for 10.75 crores. Then we have Prasidh Krishna, who has been bought by Rajasthan Royals this time. Last year he was with KKR and he has been bought for 10 crores. Similarly, Lockie Ferguson has been bought by Gujarat Titans and he played for KKR last season. He has been bought for 10 crores while his base price was 2 crores. Then we have Avesh Khan. You can see Avesh Khan's base price was just 20 lakhs and he has been bought for 10 crores by Lucknow Super Giants again, and last year he was part of the Delhi Capitals. Now you can replace this value. Suppose let's say you want to find the top 5 batsmen picked or batters picked with the highest amount. You can just say batter instead of bowler, and if I run this, you can see here Shreyas Iyer was bought by Kolkata Knight Riders for 12.25 crores. Last year he was part of Delhi Capitals. Then you have Shimran Hetmeyer, who's from West Indies. He has been picked by the Rajasthan Royals for 8.5 crores. Then we have Rahul Tripathi, Shikhar Dhawan and Devdutt Padikkal. Now if you wanted to check for, let's say, all-rounders, you can replace batter with all-rounder. If I run this, you can see Liam Livingstone has been bought by Punjab Kings this season for 11.5 crores. His base price was just 1 crore and last year he was part of the Rajasthan Royals. Then we have a player from Sri Lanka, Hasaranga. Then we have Harshal Patel, Shah Rukh Khan and Rahul Tewatia, who have been the top 5 all-rounders picked at highest amount. Cool. Now finally, we want to see the players who were part of the IPL last season but were not picked for this year's IPL. So for that, what I'm doing is first I'm renaming my 2021 squad column. This column I want to rename it as previous team. Let's run it. Then I'm going to find out the unsold players. So here I'm saying previous team not equal to not participated, and then I'm using another condition. The team should be equal to unsold, and I'm going to find out only the player and the previous team. So let's run it and see the result. So here you can see these players were part of the IPL last season but they haven't been picked this season, And last season they had played for, let's say Suresh Raina played for CSK, Steve Smith was part of the Delhi Capitals, Saqib Al Hasan was part of KKR. If I scroll down, you have David Malan, who played for Punjab Kings in 2021. Owen Morgan, who played for KKR. He also captained KKR, but unfortunately he was not picked this season. Chris Lynn from Australia also remained unsold this season. Andrew Tye, we have Ben Cutting, Aditya Tare. There are other players as well. We have Kane Richardson, Dhaval Kulkarni. Cool. So these were the players who were part of the IPL season 2021, but unfortunately were not picked and remained unsold for 2022 season. Cool. And that brings us to our end of this demo session on IPL Data Analysis 2022. So we learned how to use the different functions and attributes that are part of the Python libraries, and we manipulated the data, we visualized the data and answered some specific questions. So that brings us to the end of our video tutorial on IPL data analysis for 2022. I hope it was useful and informative. If you have any queries, please feel free to put them in the comment section of the video. Thanks again, stay safe and keep learning.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.